Oh, this too much ice. Too much ice. Too much ice. Get that back. There's too much ice. Do not play with me. Do not play with me. There's too much ice.
I didn't hear that.
And sure, you know, maybe he was uncomfortable because he didn't like me saying that I had a dream where we hooked up, but he could have said that. Yeah. What connection did you all have in a past life? We were married.
I literally just finished work and it's 5:19. Try being an influencer for a day. Try it.
We've officially reached the influencer apocalypse. I feel like we've all heard about the influencer culture discourse, but I truly had no idea how deeply rooted influencer culture had really become. Like, apparently, according to this article I found, over 57% of Gen Zers want to become influencers, and 41% of adults would be happy switching their job to be an influencer. But it's not just the surface level idea of wanting to be an influencer. I think influencer culture and its predominance in our society has changed so much about basically everything. Like the way advertisements are delivered, how much of our lives we show to literal strangers, and also the behavior that we witness and the behavior that people try to normalize online. Like the rise of influencer culture, I feel like has changed that to a super high degree. And unlike many people who've discussed this topic before me, no, I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, it's just a Gen Z problem. Oh, like Gen Z is lazy. They don't want to work real jobs. Because I truly think a lot of what's behind the rise of influencer culture and why so many people want to pursue influencing as a career is deeply connected to our idolization of wealth and also just our society in general. The prospects of someone who is graduating right now or graduating like soon, self-call it here, but it's really dire because so many people will do things the right way, like, oh, just go to college, get a good 6-figure job after your 4 years of absolutely crushing debt. And then once you finally get that degree that you actually went into devious debt over because education in America is absolutely ridiculous, you're actually told that, yeah, sorry, we don't need what you actually studied 4 years for and actually got in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt over. Go ahead and work at McDonald's or work a customer service job where we'll treat you and pay you like you're not even human, that's just such a great prospect for people. I'm sure that's totally making people want to do things the traditional way. But that's not all we'll be discussing. We'll also be discussing some of the many, many problems that influencer culture I think has either created or heavily influenced. However, before we get too far into that, I, like every YouTuber who's come before me, am going to ask you to like, subscribe, and comment. Honestly, comment whether or not you think the poll that said that over 57% of Gen Z wants to be influencers, because I saw that statistic and I was like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of us are not exactly social people, and I feel like being an influencer necessitates a level of socialization. Just let me know down below what you think about that statistic, and we will be digging into that later in the video because, I don't know, that seems like a whole lot of people. And the first problem that we're just going to jump headfirst into that influencer culture has really exacerbated is oversharing. And I don't really think there's a better way to discuss this than the recent "my psychiatrist fell in love with me" drama that's been literally all over everywhere. Because the entire situation, I think, truly exemplifies so much of oversharing culture and also the connection between oversharing and this need for validation from strangers online that a lot of people seem to have. But basically, if you haven't heard of what happened, this creator named Kendra made an entire series discussing how she fell in love with her psychiatrist and how he gaslit her and kept her as a client after her very, very disturbing confession. Now, I'm just going to show you a clip of the highlights because I literally counted over 41 videos of her covering the situation. And I don't think a lot of these videos are very short form. TikTok allows long form videos. Listen, I have watched deep dives about the situation. I have watched people talk endlessly about it. But I'm just trying to apply it to this situation. So let's just watch some of the highlights of this entire mess.
And sure, you know, maybe he was uncomfortable because he didn't like me saying that I had a dream where we hooked up. But he could have said that. Yeah, like almost certainly. What connection did you all have in a past life? We were married. Why am I so against feedback? Because the feedback is not based in my reality. And this is why I think a lot of abusers don't speak up. I actually had someone, do you think he's had other victims or just you? So for a long time I thought it was just me, but the more I think about it, he's definitely, yeah. And then I told my psychiatrist that I woke up and thought, oh my God, it was just a dream, thank God. And it was like my psychiatrist turned into a little boy and he looked at me and he said, So you do like my boundaries? And I said, I love your boundaries. I hate your boundaries, but I love them more. Because once again, he used his boundaries as protection while exploiting me.
I truly think someone needs to check in on her psychiatrist because I'm actually legitimately concerned for her. Like, this is a level of delusion that I cannot ever reach. Like, it's gotten bad. But the gist of the situation is that she had a psychiatrist that she'd only met on Zoom, mind you, and she developed a little crushy crush on the psychiatrist, but instead of being a normal human being and, I don't know, just not doing what she did, she took a lot of psychological terms, applied them to her situation, and basically warped this entire situation, which seems like a psychiatrist who was actually trying to do his job, actually trying to be nice to her. Generally, like, the mental health professionals I've worked with are very, like, nice, very kind, very empathetic, but I'm sure, like, there are some people who would be put in this situation and you kind of want to be harsh, but this person, this psychiatrist, was so nice to her, kept her as a client, probably did not reopen past wounds and reopen past trauma, which is what people were saying. And just to exemplify this, because at first I saw this situation, I was like, are people just dogpiling on this girl? Maybe she has a point. No, because a lot of the examples that she gives of this so-called gaslighting, of this so-called manipulation, is something like this. She'll say something like, oh, he used to tell me that he liked my glasses or that I changed my hair. And she would take these basic human normal compliments, normal interactions, and morph them into, oh, he's actually a manipulative evil man who's utilizing social cues and is just towing the line in a way that's so perfect so he doesn't get in trouble for this, which I think is an extreme stretch of the imagination. I think he's acting extremely normally in this situations, especially given the fact that she seems to have developed such an insane obsession with this person. And it even got to the point where she decided to use ChatGPT to validate her. And I could do a whole video on people using ChatGPT as therapy. It is not a good therapy tool at all. I understand that therapy is literally very much inaccessible for a lot of people, especially in the States, where appointments can be hundreds of dollars if you don't have insurance. But ChatGPT is literally just a language learning model that is going to validate you and lie to you. Like, ChatGPT doesn't have the faculties of a human to go like, hey, you told me this, but it's not adding up because XYZ. No, ChatGPT will take what you say surface level and just kind of repeat it back to you like a parrot, but make it sound like better, if that makes sense, and wrap it in therapy language, which is, I think, is so dangerous. It is not safe at all. But as it pertains to this entire situation, I think this is a really good example of oversharing culture online and how much it has truly become normalized. Like, I feel like every 5 to 6 months, there will be a massive series, something like this, whether it's like a series that's covering like, oh, this was my breakup. And some of them are good. I love the Who the F Did I Marry series. I actually didn't watch the Brooke Schofield series about Clinton Kane because I'm kind of glad because turns out, Brooke Schofield has a little bit of a sketchy past and made some tweets about Trayvon Martin. I feel like I've noticed, like, if anybody remembers, there was like this era, and it continues to happen, where like friend group drama becomes an internet like thing. People will take friend group drama and push it online. And I feel like there's been this conception that's been pushed and sold to people that somehow oversharing is equal to relatability, but I don't really think that's necessarily true. You can relate to your audience without having to share intimate details of your life. And I'm not trying to say that people can't post whatever they want, if that makes sense. Like, I am totally fine. If you feel comfortable posting what you want, I'm totally fine. But I think there is an impact to this posting of your intimate details of your life, of your every single thought that people don't really consider. Oversharing can be dangerous, especially online. You have no idea who's watching you. And I did want to talk about this because this is something that I feel like people are going to bring up. There are people who are neurodivergent who might not want a mask and might end up oversharing in real life, but I feel like it's a totally different concept, oversharing online versus oversharing in real life, because oversharing online truly has such a safety impact, and this is something that I think about all the time. I think about, oh, was it safe for me to, actually use my name on this YouTube channel? Is it safe for me to film in this location? Is something showing like, I don't know, a light pattern? Is somebody crazy gonna hunt me down and try to get me or something? Like, you know what I mean? It sounds like paranoia, But when you think about the fact that like literally anybody could watch your content, when you post something on the internet, literally anybody could see what you post. I think it is something that people should have in mind, and I think it's something that has been very much forgotten, very much tossed to the wayside in favor of, oh, I can make this relatable and nice and funny content. And it's like, well, you can, but you can also be kidnapped by some freak online who tracks you down because you're literally telling people that you live alone online and telling people that, oh, I'm actually home alone right now and here's where I live. I'm walking the dog outside. Here's a picture of me walking the dog. And then another thing that scares me about these situations is there are situations where someone is clearly wrong, where someone is clearly showing signs of delusion, and it is like, there are people who will still sit here and validate that person. There are people that will still sit here and interact with that content as if the thing that this person did is not insane. For example, under Kendra's post, she's limited comments, basically turned them off on most of the posts because people are actually calling her out on her disgusting behavior. She basically ended up doxing the psychiatrist by oversharing so much, leading to people finding him, leading to people harassing him. Like, that is really irresponsible, and I think it shows the irresponsibility of oversharing. But back to the comment point, people are validating her in the comments. Like, she cherry-picked these like 5 comments, and this is kind of crazy. Somebody says this, here for you, you look so beautiful, hearts, prayer emojis. Like, mind you, this woman literally just admitted to a pattern of limerence and a pattern of obsession that I think is really extremely disturbing. And not only is she obsessed with this man, she also basically tried to destroy his reputation online, painting as this manipulative, evil force online, which I think is really scary as well. But just to round out my thoughts on oversharing, I found a study that I think really covered some of the reasons why people overshare and some of the things that oversharing can cause. This article is titled, quote, "Oversharing on social media, anxiety, attention seeking, and social media addiction predict the breadth and depth of sharing." And it states in its abstract, quote, "Oversharing on social media by adolescents is a considerable problem in the digital age and has the potential to instigate online shaming, cyberbullying, identity theft, and other security risks." It ultimately goes on to conclude that, quote, "The findings suggest that anxiety, attention-seeking, and problematic use of social media may predispose adolescents to overshare personal information online." This evidence here really lays out the fact that it ends up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way because people will overshare, right? They'll get pushed back, they'll get cyberbullied a little bit, and they feel lonely and lonelier, which kind of encourages them further to try to overshare, to try to meet the community that they're seeking. Community is so hard to find in real life. Like, I don't know, a lot of people have been saying like, oh, we're so antisocial nowadays, oh, we're so this, but there is a level of humiliation that comes with having to introduce yourself to a new person, and that is something that I think ultimately goes back to like COVID. A lot of people lost very critical and crucial social skills, but there's also social media literally making it so that anything you do socially is embarrassing. Anything that you do, so like being a nice person, saying hello to people can be like, oh, she's just so desperate, oh, she just wants to talk to everybody. And it's like, why are we humiliating people for trying to find community, for trying to connect, for trying to be decent human beings? Like, what is happening? But then also, I feel like as we share more and more about ourselves, as we leave nothing to ourselves and just continuously share every single breathing thought that we have online, we kind of end up warping our own opinions, our own personality, our own thoughts into things that people want to see. Like, you can really see the influencerification of these people who come up as being relatable. You can really see how they shape themselves, how they'll get pushed back on something that's like an actual part of their personality or that they can't really change, and then they'll just try to change it as hard as they can in order to make the audience happy, which I think is really sad because it really kills individuality and it really makes people fall in line into this really bleak, really bland personality. I don't know, for some reason people hate whimsy and joy and just want to cut people down, which is really sad. But now we're going to move into discussing something that I have talked about a lot. I feel like I've constantly been talking about rage bait and bad behavior and that influencer culture promotes. But I think that creators really find this as a way to boost their engagement and views. And there's really no better way to show you the type of behavior that the internet has made people think is acceptable somehow than this TikTok. And trust me, I feel like you're going to be absolutely floored when you see this because this man's entire account, this man's entire presence online is an absolute mess.
Oh, this too much ice. Too much ice. Too much ice. Get that back. There's too much ice. Do not play with me. Do not play with me. There's too much ice. I said light ice.
So we really just start off strong with him being awful to the employee. He made sure to put this in the front, and we can just see how much of a ghoul he is to these workers who are literally being paid subhuman wages and treated like trash by the company, most likely.
I have a code.
May I have the 4-digit code, please?
My 4-digit code is showing up as 3 on my
Come a
end.
little closer to the speaker.
Oh, there you go. The last one just popped up. 8887
One more time. 88.
87.
Okay, and what else can I get for you today?
Can I get a cheeseburger?
Okay.
And I want a medium Sprite, light ice. Light on my ice, please. Thank you.
And does that complete your order?
That's gonna complete it. Light on my ice, though.
I got you. Would you like to round up as a donation for the Ronald McDonald charity?
I ain't even got a coin for it to do all that. I'm sorry, baby.
$4.90.
Thank you. Thank you. Ain't nobody damn donate. Ain't got a coin to donate for no damn body. Donate to me. Shit. Fuck. I said light ice, bitch. Don't fucking play with me. You didn't just try me like that. I'm finna get out. Just let me see. Can I get honey mustard? Much better on the guys. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Don't work for my motherfucking coin.
Listen, I totally get if you're one of those people who is struggling or doesn't want to be asked if you want to round up something. But at the same time, to sit there and rant and rave about it and just be so angry and so upset about it is kind of outrageous to me. The absolute anger that he showed at the worker for asking him about a small donation to the Ronald McDonald House, something that they do for everyone, mind you. This also goes back to this main character syndrome. Like, no, baby. Like, these people in the drive-thru were not like, oh, we see him. We know he's struggling. We know he's going to get mad over us asking about whether he wants to donate. Let's ask him. Like, no, that's literally just something that they ask everybody. It's probably a prompt on the, like, computer that they have to put in, like, yes or no. It's never been that serious. And it's also never been that serious about ice in your cup. And I was really interested to see this because I've never worked fast food. I've worked customer service. I've worked some food service, but it's never been a place where it's like people can ask for light ice. Like, it's never been a drive-thru. But to see that people were like, oh yeah, people ask for light ice and that's generally a problem. I don't know, it just kind of surprised me to see that that was like an entire thing, an entire conversation over people asking for light ice. But I think it just goes back to like the special request type of thing, which would not be outrageous on their own, but at the same, like, but when you have a line of like cars wrapped around the building and you have hundreds of people coming in and out of the drive-thru, one special request I think really can irritate people. But something like light ice is something that they probably get asked all the time. She probably just put as much ice as she thought was acceptable, but oh no, he had to bang his fist all over, very like angry. I'm not over the fact that he thought this was acceptable at all. And I feel so awful for this woman that she had to basically take that straight up verbal abuse from him. And that is a sad thing about like service work. She's gonna have to deal with this, and then the next customer she has to put on a smile and act like absolutely nothing happened. Mind you, there will be no breaks. Like, nobody's gonna be like, oh, are you okay? And people want to sit here and complain about like a slight stare or a slight moment of processing. Like, ooh, I'm not getting back into the Gen Z stare discourse, but trust me, it haunts me because that whole entire trend just, like, it irritated me. But overall, I think this entire situation just really laid out the performance of social media and how social media ultimately ends up rewarding rage bait and bad behavior. Like, if he had had his phone out, do you think he'd be acting like this? Or would he probably just go through the drive-thru like he maybe normally does and behave like a normal and nice human being? Maybe he would have a little bit of attitude, but there's no way he would sit there and bang his fist up and down for the camera. It's like a play. And all the comments are hating on him. Don't get me wrong, the response was extremely negative. People do not like this type of behavior. People do not support this type of behavior. But at the same time, that's the real, like, problem and the struggle with rage bait content, because if you say nothing, you start to feel as if people might think this is okay, people might try to normalize this, but at the same time, if you say something, the algorithm does not distinguish between hate comments. It's all engagement at the end of the day, so the algorithm is going to continue to push this type of content out regardless of the content of the comments, regardless of how many people are actually upset. And TikTok does not have a dislike button, so there's really no way to express your displeasure at a video other than A, hitting not interested, or B, blocking, or C, leaving a comment, which people are more likely to just leave a comment. And they all end up boosting engagement rates the same, and that's really what they want. They want people to talk about them, they want people to mention them, because in their eyes, any attention for them is good attention, and it's going to lead them to profit, whether or not it's negative attention. And I do feel like we've talked about rage bait over and over again, kind of from my own lens, my own more speculative ideas about why rage bait content has become something that's so popular. But let's just hear from the professionals. So Sam Gruitt and Megan Lawton made an amazing article on rage bait, basically covering the topic for the British Broadcasting Corporation in an article titled, quote, "What is rage baiting and why is it profitable?" They interviewed this creator named Zezu, whose whole shtick is rage bait. Her whole shtick is like, oh, I'm so much more pretty than you. I'm the prettiest girl on earth. And of course, people seeing that are going to be like, you're not the prettiest girl on earth. What? You need to humble yourself. And everybody thinks we're all doing something, but at the end of the day, this is her whole plan. This is her master plan. She knows, low-key, that she's manipulating the audience into interacting with her content. I get a lot of hate. The words of content creator went to Zezu, who last year made over $150,000 from posting on social media. Like, that is a six-figure salary. That is what we're told that we need to literally survive. And we'll get more into the financials later and like why I think there's this massive financial incentive for people to create this type of content, for people to be influencers or try to be influencers and aim for like a negative response type of thing. But another part of this article that I found interesting was a perspective from a doctor who kind of described how rage bait is something that's more so hardwired into us, that we automatically are going to have this kind of negative response to this rage bait content. But the grip negative content has on human psychology is something that is hardwired into us, according to Dr. William Brady, who studies how the brain interacts with new technologies. In the past, this is the kind of content that we really needed to pay attention to, he explains. So we have these biases built into learning and our attention. So this rage bait kind of response is something that I think is so insidious, something that I think is so almost perfect for the influencer landscape, because it is so hard to deal with. Because even if we end up ignoring rage bait content, I feel like some of these people are going to continue upping the ante, doing the most insane things, and they're going to do that regardless, honestly. I truly feel like there is a segment of people who would continue to do this regardless of whether or not they're getting attention, in aims of being more and more outrageous until they blow up, which they probably inevitably would because of the sheer amount of negative attention and negative opinions that would come their way. And just to go back to the situation with him a little bit, because something about the response from the internet kind of was interesting. I saw people who were saying like, oh, this is like because of baddies. This is because of the baddification of the internet. And if you don't know, Baddies is a show on Zeus Network. Natalie Nunn is like the ringleader. The entire show is based on basically these girls fighting. It's low-key like brain rot. It's like something that you watch and you're like, oh, my brain is actually rotting watching this. But I think it digs so much deeper than Baddies, because Baddies is something that's also linked to this idea of clout culture, this idea of outrageousness, getting and gaining the attention of people, which it generally does. There's a reason why Baddies is such an incredibly popular show. It's outrageous. The clips are insane. The clips are funny. The clips are engaging. The behavior of these people is such a draw. If you ever watch the show itself, the concept itself is nothing special when you think about it. It is literally just the outrageousness and the clout goblinry of the people who are on the show that makes it interesting. Like, the average episode of Baddies is 90% montages of where they're traveling to and them just sitting around in a house. And the 1% of the fights that's what gets clipped. That's what gets clipped. That's what gets the show going viral. That's what gets people to subscribe. But as it pertains to this situation, I do think it doesn't necessarily connect to Baddies. Like, sure, there are some parallels, but I think it's more so clout culture, more so rage bait. And I did notice something in the responses that I have to call out. A lot of people were saying, oh, so there's this entire, like, I feel like it's a slur, basically. It's basically another way to say the F slur, but it's not the F slur. It's like a term that goes around in more so like Black communities. And y'all gotta stop using this slur because it's literally just another way to say the F slur, y'all. And people are saying, oh, this slur, fatigue. I'm tired of this part. Like, people taking these awful creators as an excuse to be homophobic, as an excuse to be racist. There are so many people who are Black. There are so many people who are gay, who act like normal human beings, who are very kind, who are very compassionate. So just taking this one singular example of that and taking that to the point of, oh, I'm tired of all gay people. I'm tired of all, like, this whole Black fatigue, this whole, basically what they're saying is gay fatigue conversation, so irritating, so out of the way, when the real conversation should be about how these platforms are rewarding this type of behavior and why he would even engage in this behavior in the first place. But that's pretty much all I had to say about that. But now, before we move into the last thing I talk about, before we end up going into some of my ideas of possible reasons why people see influencing as this really lucrative career path, is incessant advertising. And listen, I'm not against any ads. You know, your girl might have a sponsorship coming up. Like, get your bag, but it gets to a point where your entire presence online is an ad. Your entire TikTok profile, I scroll down, every single video is linked to some random product on the shop. And I guess you're just getting sent these random things and trying to shell out anything for a commission. And influencing has, I think, already exacerbated the consumerism and the wastefulness that already existed, but I feel like it really has taken it to a fever pitch, especially on TikTok, where literally everything is made into a product, everything is made into a commodity. I don't know if it's worse for me because low-key I might have fed the beast a little bit and like got a little random product, but like some of the content that is advertised is just so insane. I'm just like, do you not care that you're just literally selling yourself out for a goose plushie? Like, I don't need Choco Mask perfume. I don't need a giant goose plushie. I don't need a squid to like roll on the ground. Mind you, all this stuff, 90% of it is going to either rot and collapse because of low quality or end up in some landfill because, surprise, surprise, we don't really need this product necessarily. And then recently I did see a video by YouTuber Hannah Alonso, and it was covering teacher talk, and she showed basically how teachers are literally turning their entire classrooms into advertisements, like getting sponsorships to throw parties, all that stuff, which I think is kind of insane. But I think it's absolutely awful, and I think it should be an embarrassment to these school districts that their teachers feel like they have to take a second job and have to be this influencer just to get by. Like, that's terrible. But I also feel like, on the other hand, it just shows the draw to these type of things. Like, people are basically doubling their income. People are making entire businesses off of this stuff. And now, as it pertains to advertising, I really feel like Ragebait has entered the marketing room. Like, Ragebait has hit the marketing room. Corporations think that Ragebait is a sustainable strategy to get traction and to get, like, money from people, which I find interesting. I've been seeing it more frequently recently. Like, it probably has existed for a long time, but still. Why would e.l.f., a makeup brand, decide to partner with Matt Rife? One, like, what is his relation to makeup in any way, shape, or form? And two, isn't he, like, literally an awful person? Like, what are we doing here? And can I rant about something that also bothers me? And that is, like, these sponsored movie reviews that I'll see, like, for example, a movie will come out, and then I guess the marketing team on TikTok is like, hey, let's sponsor this creator. Let's sponsor their review of our movie. That totally, like, that makes me not want to see your movie, because if you're having to sponsor people to give you good reviews, maybe the movie is good. It just puts a really weird taste in my mouth. The fact that these critics are basically being bought out by these companies. Like, the company basically had to approve this sponsorship of, like, the review. So what that says to me is that the review is not something that is actually going to be accurate, that is actually going to be honest, because why would a company approve a review of something that is not, like, praising them? They're investing money into this sponsorship for a reason, because they think it's going to make people want to see their film. And sorry, that was just a little tangent, but I just find it really crazy. Like, why is that a thing? And just to wrap it up, here's one person's opinions that I found on Reddit. They said, am I the only one tired of being advertised to? Title kind of says it all, but I'm really tired of being showed advert after advert on everything I do. Watch TV, same 3 commercials in a row. YouTube ads every 3 minutes. Download free software like Malwarebytes, pop-ups every time I start my computer. Order something from eBay. Here, have a $100 gift card to HelloFresh or whatever. Money burning meal service that came out next. I'm tired. Tired of being told to buy stuff that doesn't make me happy. I'm tired of spending inordinate amounts of time researching something because the last thing I had broke, and I'm tired of putting more plastic in a landfill. And this was on r/anti-consumption, just for context, but I do think, honestly, sometimes I do have fatigue. Like, I'm a person who's way too online, so I will sit here and watch YouTube videos forever, and like, one time I got a comment from somebody, I literally just do auto advertisements. YouTube makes this big deal of you not really like making your own ads. Like if you do that, it's so much harder than them just automatically putting them, but they will put them in the most random places and they will put them like everywhere. Like I swear to you guys, I was not trying to like milk money out of people on like the Gen Z Stare video or anything. Sometimes I'll like see comments and people are like 3 ads in the first minute or something. And I'm like, what? I swear I did not put that there. Please don't get mad at me. Like it has, and as someone who watches YouTube, who is not a premium subscriber because girl, I've been told that it's worth it, but 15, like that is a big investment for me as a college, like that is a lot of money a month and monthly expenses just stress me out in general. So no, I'm good. But like as someone who watches YouTube plainly on like my phone, it is definitely an experience when you get like 2 unskippable ads and then like 5 minutes later you get another ad. And I just got used to this. I've gotten like desensitized to it at this point, but when you think about it, it is actually kind of insane. But now we're finally going to discuss some of the possible reasons why influencing has become something that's so popular and why it really seems like everybody wants to be an influencer in some way. Now, I didn't want to just speculate fully, so I did find this article by Jilly Malinsky for CNBC, which is titled, quote, 57% of Gen Zers want to be influencers, but it's constant Monday through Sunday, says creator. What really gagged me is the survey that they quoted that found that more than half of young people want to be influencers, 57% to be exact. That's according to a 2023 Morning Consult survey of over 1,000 Gen Zers. And they're not alone. Nearly half, 41% of adults overall would choose a career as well, according to a similar Morning Consult survey. And the article further goes on to, they talk to other influencers, other creators who do this type of thing full time. And like, while there is this undertone of like, oh, it's actually hard work, this girl was like, oh, I have 100K on TikTok and I make like 10K a month sometimes. Excuse me? That is so much money. That is like actually like 10-figure salary. Like if I was making 10K a month, I would be so happy with my life. But then the article does also end up showing the small amount of full-time creators who actually make these massive amounts of money that people are constantly, I think, shoveled and told that these influencers make. It just really reminds me of something. When you think about it, you really only see the success stories of influencers. You don't really see the struggling small channel. You kind of see the blow up, the come up, the, oh, I'm doing very well. Like, you don't really see the failure because the algorithm doesn't show you the failure. But there are thousands and thousands of people who are trying to be influencers. But I do think a massive reason for the rise in influencing and people seeking to either make content full-time or part-time is just the bleak economic state of anything, specifically as it pertains to Gen Z, seeing that jobs are absolutely horrifying to find. Like, if you're lucky enough to find something, the chance is that you'll be laid off as a company does restructuring. Like, entry-level jobs are not entry-level anymore. They want 1 to 2 years of experience for something that pays awful. Like, aren't you supposed to get the experience by having this job? And then combine this economic state with the fact that we're constantly told, oh, you need 100K to live comfortably, like you need 200K in most of these states. And honestly, you do, especially in a lot of urban areas. Like, everything has become a luxury. Apartments are like 2.5K for like a single suite, and that's low in some places. Everything has become this extreme expense, this extreme luxury expenses. Basic living has become luxury branded, which I find really interesting. So I can absolutely see how people are drawn into influencing or attracted to influencing in some way, because we're literally constantly shown these people who are flexing in our faces. Oh, I live in New York City. Here's my $10,000 apartment. Also, not to be shady to any content creators, it can definitely be hard sometimes, but it's way easier than having a normal job. Full-time corporate job versus making content from your house. I think most people are going to choose making content from your house. There is also some nuance as it pertains to influencers and showing their wealth, because a lot of these people who are very successful influencers are people who already had the money to invest. When you think about it, camera equipment, microphones, even like basic like phones that you would need to make like TikToks is very expensive, and people are constantly clowned upon if your camera quality is bad. So there is really this barrier to entry, despite people having this idea that, oh, influencing is just for everybody. And then there's also the fact that these rich influencers are just using their platforms to get richer. Like an example of somebody I take is like Alex Earl. We're all like, oh my gosh, she went to Miami. Oh, she did this. Oh, she did that. And it's like, she was rich before she started influencing. So like, a lot of these creators make their money off of showing their lifestyle that they already had. But a lot of people might see that and not necessarily know that they've already been rich, like from birth. We end up assuming that this lifestyle is related to them being an influencer when it's mostly probably related to them being rich. But that's really mostly all what I had to say today. That was a lot. Let me know down below what you thought about this video. Let me know down below what you think is the most ridiculous part of influencer culture overall, or what concerns you the most about influencer culture, because there's a lot that concerns me about it, honestly. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!